Some years ago, I learned not to focus on the problem in my body or keep repeating it. Instead of saying I'm a cancer patient or a cancer survivor, I begin to say I'm going through a healing. But the last rally, I didn't have to have the cane because I recently got married. And all of a sudden, instead of leaning in the cane, I was dancing a little bit. Hallelujah. Stand up, Rosalind, my new wife. She's an amazing woman. All right, that's a good word. About 14 years ago, I was headed to my normal cancer treatment. And I was going downtown to Johns Hopkins Hospital, arguably the best hospital in America, always voted such, the best in esophageal cancer. They told me I had only months to live and I would be only a 10% survival opportunity 5 years out. That was 14 years ago. I'm a miracle. Hey, but something happened. An old man who died during this COVID season. He's an old deacon, much older than myself, drove me down to the hospital every day. And when I went down to get my blood drawn, all of a sudden that particular day, I fell out and they coded me. I couldn't move my right leg. Couldn't move my right arm. I tried to talk and I was going, but the deacon ran out and called my wife, called all kinds of people, said, look, here's what you got to do. Pray. Hundreds of thousands of people prayed. 3 hours later, that mantra I began to use, I'm going through a healing, kicked in. And I started talking again. Then I started walking again. Then after 3 days, they let me out. They didn't know what had happened. They went in and took a look at me. They said your left carotid artery is blocked up. And then they sent me home. A few weeks later, I came back. They came into the room. They said, we don't believe this. Went back, got another person to do a test. Came back, said the other guy said, we don't believe it. Then third person came in, did a test. Same person who tested me after the stroke said, we don't believe it. They said, a few weeks ago you had the left carotid artery totally blocked. That doesn't open up unless you have surgery. But guess what? You have a miracle in your life. I was going through a healing. We're going to tell you that America right now, with the race problem, with COVID problems, with the economy going on, with all the issues that we're dealing with, what am I to tell you that America is just going through a healing? And the good physician, the great physician, has set a man in the place that can move things forward. His name is Donald Trump. Now you got to take this word back to your minority friends, your black friends, your Hispanic friends, your Asian friends. You got to take this word back to them. You got to tell them that you know what you're talking about, that Donald Trump is not a racist. Oh, y'all can hear me. Donald Trump is not a racist. Donald Trump is not a racist. Come on, somebody. You gotta go back and tell them the truth. We've met with him, we've looked him in the eye. I've been to Trump Tower, New York, all kind of black, Hispanic employees, many who are high-paying people. If you're a racist, you keep people down. If you're a racist, you don't build people up. Let's talk very briefly about criminal justice reform. I have a book just came out called A Manifesto, subtitled Christian America's Contract with Minorities. In this season, we're going to have to team up and stop just looking at ourselves as black, white, Hispanic. We got to look at ourselves as the body of Christ. We got to come together. So listen to this, which is not racist at all, criminal justice reform. If you look at criminal justice reform, you'll find this. The First Step Act signed into law, I'm reading from page 23 of this book, A Manifesto, by President Trump on December 21st, 2018, must be continued. According to the Board of Prisons, the act was designed to reduce the size of the federal prison population while also creating mechanisms to maintain public safety. The 6 major areas of the Bureau of Prison highlights as achievements are these. Number 1, reduction in recidivism. That means how many people go back to prison again. Somewhere near 80% that get out go back. That number is going to go down. Number 2, incentives for success. Good time credit for every year. Number 3, confinement within 500 miles of their residence. Many people go away to federal prison and they go somewhere far away where their support system can't come to visit them. Number 4, correctional reforms. These include prohibition on the use of restraints on pregnant inmates. Did you realize that you can be chained to a bed and have a baby in a prison? Do you realize that if you're in a prison, that sometimes they fail to provide tampons and sanitary napkins? There are all kinds of problems that have been going on that have been rectified. 5, 6 sentencing reform. Listen to this. This includes changes to mandatory minimum sentences for certain drug offenders. It goes on to say that the First Step Act made the provisions of the Fair Sentencing Act of 2010 retroactive, so that recently incarcerated offenders who receive longer sentences for possession of crack cocaine versus powder cocaine can submit a petition in federal court to have their sentences reduced. What does that mean? Crack cocaine got a bigger sentence if you were in the ghetto or the barrio, if you were a minority people. Are you with me? Powder cocaine was what they used in the suburbs. Suburban people got shorter sentences. A racist wouldn't go back and reverse the curse of over-sentencing. This First Step Act is amazing. That story about the First Step Act has to do with a woman named Catherine Tony. I met her at the White House, and I found out that she was released early on the First Step Act. She had a boyfriend. She was 40 years old, young black woman in Alabama. Because her boyfriend was a drug dealer, she wound up being arrested as an accessory, went to prison, and got a 20-year minimum sentence with no possibility of parole. Soon as First Step Act was cleared, guess what? She's the first woman to come out of the prison system. Hallelujah. But at 55 years old, 55, she's been 15 years there. 55 years old, no job. Her daughter is a single mom. No place to live. Because of that, 4 churches came together with me, and we decided to buy her new clothes so she can go interview. We talked to some people at the White House who set her up with interviews. Guess what? She got a job, she got a car, she got insurance, and she's walking in her freedom. That was a black woman, and this man in the White House is no racist. What we got to do is we got to pull with both oars, church members. I want you to take this book, a manifesto, give it to your skeptical minority friends, give it to people who are talking about he's a racist, and just let them be informed. I also want you to get informed in the process. 2 oars. One oar is the oar of fasting and prayer. The other oar is positive action. You got to register, and you got to follow through, and you got to vote. Wow. I want you to do something radical. I want you to stand to your feet. We're going to close this time in a prayer. For a moment, I want you to suspend your disbelief, and I want you to act like you're in a black Baptist church. You're going to lift up your hands, and we're going to shout something 3 times. And it's from Psalm 68, verse 1. Let God arise and his enemies be scattered. Can you repeat that with me? Let God arise and his enemies be scattered. We're going to shout that 3 times in a row, and then you're going to pray for President Trump. You're going to pray for the state of Arizona. You're going to pray that a breakthrough comes through in this place. You're going to pray that we have a turnaround against darkness. Are you ready? 3 times. What are you going to shout? God arise and his enemies be scattered. All right. 1, 2, 3.
Let God arise and his enemies be scattered.
Again.
Let God arise and his enemies be scattered.
Again.
Let God arise and his enemies be scattered.
Lift up a prayer and a shout. Arise, oh God. Thank you very much. God bless you.